Hello, everybody. I'm back. It's another Thursday night with Minutes with Milo show broadcast. Let's just say what it is. It's a broadcast. Let's just say what it is. There we go. Just making sure that we're going out on the internet. And we are, which was an achievement. It's an achievement for me. So, thank you very much. So, how is everybody tonight? Once again, this is Thursday to you. It's my Friday night. Yay. And I would say almost as always, it's been a heck of a week. You ever had those weeks where everything you thought was just, man, this is going to be simple, going to get this done. It just falls apart, you know? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But we made it. We're here tonight. And we're going to do another, I guess, kind of strange animal story. Animals are wonderful things. If you've got a dog at home or a cat even. I like cats. Cats are cool. But you understand. They can be fun. They can be a burden. They can be a pain in the butt. But animals are cool. So, last week we talked about cats that were dropped into save villages from overpopulation of rats because man messed with the ecosystem to try to do one thing, had bad effects, and boom, they had to try to turn things around. They used some cats. If you don't know what I'm talking about, watch last week's show. It was about, what was it called? The Great Cat Drop? Or the Cat Drop? Something. Anyway, that was last week's show, man. I've slept since then and worked. It's been tough. Not much of you know. It's tough. So, tonight, just a little story about World War II. And to be honest, I'm not a historian. I don't know, except, who was fighting with who and all this stuff. But anyway, this is about the Polish army. And I'm assuming they were on our side because they were fighting against Russia. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Leave me a comment. Tell me I'm wrong. Probably could be. But I don't think so. So, as I've been doing lately, I was doing some research to try to find a show, and I thought, well, animal stories are pretty decent, and I think they're interesting. So I found this, and this is supposed to be true. I checked out a couple of sources, and this really happened. And I don't have a problem with it. I think it could be very possible. And it's about a bear, and we all know that bears are pretty intelligent because you see them doing, things in the circus, riding a bicycle, juggling a ball, they can be trained to do certain things. And so, hey Roberto, how's it going? Just talking about getting tonight's show an idea about, going along with the animal theme. And it's about a bear that during World War II was adopted by some Polish soldiers, and what it ended up, doing for them and, boosting morale. That was one of the things about the story was in wartime, it's really hard to tell unless you've been there, and I haven't, that, some of the things that you have to experience. And I would think a nice thing would be to have a diversion. And what better than a big 400 to 500 pound bear to be in a big diversion? And it was a friendly bear, like if any of y'all have ever seen Gentle Ben, Grizzly Adams, some of those things where a bear kind of befriends people and, doesn't try to chew their arms off or any of those kind of things. It makes a nice story. So let's go to Gemini, and it's the one that produced the thumbnail for the show tonight. And Gemini is what? Google's free. I use the free because I'm a penny pincher. I'll squeeze a nickel too if it'll let me. But anyway, it did the picture from a thumbnail, and it did some research for me. And I also double checked it through Grok, and so they tell the same story. So I'm going to say it's pretty much true. And there's actual pictures. I don't think they're faked because nobody fakes terrible pictures like these are. So where do we start? Let's just show you what I'm looking at. Let's just show you that. Ooh, that was interesting. I'll click a few buttons. I hope everybody likes my red text because that's where I'm at now. If you didn't hear the story from a couple of months ago or something, I screwed up my computer and barely got it back, and I ended up with some changes. Red text is the change. Okay, so I can't pronounce it, I'm sure, like a Polish person would, but luckily it says pronounced Wojtek, Wojtek. That's the way they're breaking it down phonetically. Phononic. What is that? Spelling with phonics. Anyway, I can't say it, but that's what they say. In 1942, Polish soldiers of the the 22nd Artillery Supply Company were traveling through Iran after being released from Soviet gulags, which are prisons. Garthog, how's it going? You just got here for the reading of the story of the friendly bear, the soldier bear. He was an adopted bear. We're getting to that part of some Polish soldiers in the 22nd Artillery Supply Company. I got it right. So after being released from the Soviet gulags, which I'm sure is prisons, and why would they be released? I don't know if it talks about it here, but they were part of I guess, a prisoner exchange, a barter system. Give me some of yours, I'll give you some of mine, and all that's the other way around. You give me some of mine, I'll give you some of yours. That's the way the barter system works. So as they were traveling through Iran, which I think back then was not what we consider to be Iran, or in the other story, it was a different part. The borders were different. Anyway, they encountered a young boy and had a small orphaned Syrian brown bear, and they traded him some canned foods for the bear and named him Wojtek, which means joyful warrior. Now, why would they do that? Like I was saying, it's wartime. It's cool to have a diversion, and I don't know much about back then. Maybe some of the Polish soldiers did have some type of stuffed animal as a kid, possibly, maybe a bear, and it just, gave them something to think about other than where they were and what they were doing. That's my take. That's just what I'm thinking. So they raised him, and they raised him on condensed milk and beer and anything that they could scrounge together out of their rations. But they used an old vodka bottle with, they called it a teat from a cloth. I don't know how that would work. Just seems like, maybe they stuffed the rag or whatever it was down in the condensed milk in the vodka bottle, and it, nursed on like a Molotov cocktail, only with condensed milk. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I don't know how it would work. Just seems like the little bear would just chew the rag and eat it. I don't know. It worked. He lived. So he had a taste for fruit, marmalade, honey, wow, and of course beer, which I guess in the ration packs, they gave him beer and cigarettes, apparently marmalade and fruit, uh, probably some canned meat of some, form or fashion, I guess. So according to the story, the bear learned how to walk on its hind legs from imitating the soldiers. Walking on its hind legs, it learned to make a salute symbol, and they call it wrestle with the men. And some of the pictures we'll look at, I mean, it doesn't show them wrestling. It just shows, the bear kind of course, it's a still image. All right, you got to kind of use your imagination. But it looks like he's just roughhousing or playing like he might play with another cub. And so he learned to march on his hind legs, wrestle with the men, salute, and believe it or not, they taught him how to smoke. So the story goes that they would light the cigarettes and then give it to the bear, and he would, and then eat the cigarette. So they didn't teach him very healthy bear habits, but I guess as a cub, you take what you can get, right? It's better than being dead. Uh, he grew to be 400 to 500 pounds, and as you'll see in some of these pictures, he was probably 6.5, 7 feet tall when he stood up. He's huge, huge bear. And he was known to be gentle and often slept in the tents with the soldiers on cold nights. Now, did he sleep in there because it was warm, or did the soldiers bring him in there because he was warm? I don't know. Probably a little of both. So he was just a pet, and they kept him around, and they had him do different things. Then the troop that he was in was ordered to move to Egypt, or move from Egypt to Italy in 1944. Now they adopted him in 42, so in 44 they were ordered to go to Italy to help the Allied campaign. And the British transport regulations, they were going to fly, I'm sure, maybe go on a ship. It just says British transport regulations strictly forbade animals to go on their trip. They couldn't take pets. All right, so they couldn't take pets. So what do? You've had this bear, you raised him from a cub, and he's part of the family per se. He's part of the group. So what do? I don't know how they did it, but they enrolled the bear in the army. He enlisted in the army. How? And he was a private, and he got rations, and he got I guess a serial number. I mean, he was a soldier in the Polish army, and then they couldn't deny him transport to Italy. All right, so they officially enlisted him. He got a name, a service number, the rank of private, and he got a soldier's pay book and rations. And according to this little thing, probably double rations. So he went to Italy, and apparently during the Battle of Monte Cassino, Cassino, right here, the bear proved his worth. Now he's huge, he's strong, he's a bear. Okay, seeing a human friend struggling to move heavy supplies, the story goes that he mimicked the soldiers by carrying 100-pound crates of 25-pound artillery shells to the front lines. He reportedly never dropped a single shell despite the deafening noises of gunfires and explosions. So, 100-pound crates, 25-pound artillery, 4 shells to the crate, and they were probably wooden crates. Now, to hear, when I looked it up before, he reportedly carried them standing up because he was mimicking the soldiers. He'd been with them at least 2 years. and he learns to wrestle. He drinks beer from bottles and cans. I'm sure he doesn't eat with a spoon or a fork, but you know, he's used to doing soldiery kind of things. Is it a far-fetched? You ever seen bears ride a bicycle and do things like that? He could probably learn to carry something. Now, when we look at some pictures, I can't remember if this one actually shows the picture I'm going to speak of, but when a bear stands up, or this particular bear, his arms hang down below his butt, almost like gorilla arms. You know, uh, it's funny to see. Well, I think that's one of the pictures. In recognition of his bravery, his unit changed their official insignia to an image of a bear carrying an artillery shell, and that is still used in some of the Polish uh, patches today. All right, so he was promoted to the rank of corporal, and after a while, after the war was over, some of the troops, stayed. I guess his final station was in Italy, maybe. The story doesn't really tell me that much of it. But eventually, you know, the soldiers went home and they couldn't take the bear with them. So what did they end up doing? So they ended up retiring the bear, and he went to the Edinburgh Zoo. Okay, so when the war ended in 45, and he was only 3 years old. They adopted him in 42 when he was a cub. In 44, he went to Italy and was part of the Battle of Monte Cassino. I want to say Cristo, but there's no R in that name. So Cassino, however they say it. I'm sorry, I'm not Italian. And then in 45, he retired and he went to the Edinburgh Zoo. And I think that's when, I think that's in Germany. Let's see what that says. I want to copy paste because I can't type. All right, I cut the O off, but you know what? It'll know. It'll know what I'm talking about. Tickets and tours. None of these things say where it's at. Let's see. Okay, it's in Scotland. I didn't know that. Should I have known? Why? I'm never going to go there. But it's in Scotland. So, should have read the stupid story. Anybody that's reading ahead of me? Robert? You can see it right there. When the war ended in 45, he was transported with the unit to Brookshire, Scotland. He became a local celebrity attending dances and community events. When the unit demobilized in 1947, okay, so he was 5 years old, the bear was given a home at the Edinburgh Zoo. Former Polish soldiers would frequently visit him, and he said he would perk up whenever he heard the Polish language and would beg for cigarettes from his old friends. Some veterans would even jump the fence into his enclosure to wrestle with him, much to the horror of the zookeepers. He passed away in 1963 at the age of 21. So finally, he reached the age of, he could drink. He'd been drinking since he was a cub. He was like French. He'd been drinking since he was little. Today, statues of the bear stand in Edinburgh, London. Thought it was in Scotland. Edinburgh, London. Man, I don't know. I'm just reading this stuff. I don't make it up. In several Polish cities, serving as a symbol of the resilience and spirit of the Polish forces who fought far from home. So, we'll look at these images. I asked him exactly which war he was in, and I knew it was World War II. So his service took place between 1942 and 45. While he was abandoned in the Middle East, his most significant military contribution occurred during the Italian campaign. The most famous engagement was particularly in the Battle of the Monte Cassino in 1944, which was one of the longest and bloodiest series of battles in the war. So this is the image that it made me. And here are some of the images that it found. I said, can you find me some pictures? I said, pictures. And this is what it found me. It found one. And then I said, are there any more? Hello? I used the plural form. So now, this was one that I questioned. I said, I looked at these and I said, are those images real? And I don't think this one is real. Unless somebody has colorized the bear in the image. I don't think that's real. Forgive me. I'm a skeptic. This one, I double checked in multiple places. It is real. This is the bear in a foxhole. That's not the bear in the foxhole. This is the bear in the foxhole. And where they're dropping mortars out. Now, can you see this? They've got their fingers in their ear. Is that the mortar coming out? Or had the dude that drops it down in there? I think it's the mortar coming out. I don't know. But look at that face. The face looks sad. You know, you're sitting in a foxhole next to these Polish dudes shooting this loud cannon basically out of the same hole you're sitting in, and you're just a bear wanting a beer and a cigarette. I mean, you know, how bad could it be? Let's see what this says. Let me scoot this over. Now, I can't vouch for this story. This is just, like I said, this is just where the picture was. It says his, I can read it better on that. He began his story in 1942 when the newly formed Anders Army left the Soviet Union with thousands of Polish citizens who had been deported to Iran. On April 8th, they reached a railroad station in Hamadan, Iran, to find a young boy trying to sell a bear cub he'd found. 18-year-old civilian refugee and great niece of General Boleslaw something fell in love with the cub and convinced the lieutenant to purchase the bear. The bear spent the next 3 months in Irina's care in a Polish refugee camp established near Tehran. Eventually, Irina gave the bear to the 2nd Transport Company, which later became the 22nd Artillery Supply Company. The soldiers in the company named the bear Wojtek, which is Polish for smiling warrior, and Jim and I called it gentle warrior, or he who enjoys war. Okay. So he had problems swallowing. They initially fed him condensed milk from an old vodka bottle. In time, the bear outgrew his swallowing issues and came to enjoy eating fruit, honey, syrup, marmalade, beer, and coffee. Took to smoking cigarettes and sometimes eating them. He was taught to salute, sleep with the soldiers on cold nights, and soon became the company's official mascot. This distinction would later become an issue when the company was assigned to fight alongside the British 8th Army in the Italian campaign. According to British regulations, mascots and pets were not allowed to travel on British ships, so he didn't fly, he was on a ship. To get around the obvious case of bear discrimination, he was officially drafted into the Polish army as a private and enlisted among the soldiers of the 22nd Artillery Supply Company. Now, as an enlisted soldier, he was given his own pay book and serial number and was officially allowed to bunk with the men in tents and earn his keep by acting as a soldier as well. He lugged 100-pound crates of artillery shells to the supply gunners. It actually came about when Wojtek saw other soldiers doing such and mimicked their actions. The newspaper wrote of this odd sight in 2012. All right. He was promoted to corporal. In 45, when the war ended, came to an end, and the rest of the 22nd Company were transported to Brookshire, Scotland, where they were stationed at Winfield Airfield and Sunnywood Farm near the village of Hutton. Wojtek was popular with the locals, where he was even made an honorary member of the Polish-Scottish Association. But when demobilization came, he was given to the Edinburgh Zoo November 5th, 1947, where he spent the rest of his life. He remained a celebrity and frequently visited by journalists and former Polish soldiers from his old company. Many of them later tossed Wojtek cigarettes to eat. So there's one of the statues. And they say his nose is rubbed. It's a bronze statue. It's rubbed clean. You can't see that because there it is. Let's decline whatever they're trying to get me to do. There he is. For everybody rubs the statue's nose for luck. So then I said, are there any more? Are these real? So here's one that shows him wrestling with the soldiers. Reject all. Oh my gosh. Can we not just get along? Can we not just get along? Why are you doing this to me? Here we go. Looks like he's trying to eat his arm, but I think that's just what he's not very tall there, so he's just a cub, probably still there. But then later, let's see if I can find the one. Here's the one that I was talking about, that his arms seem to be so long. Can you see that one? Look at his arms. Don't they seem to be like very, very long? And look how tall he got. I mean, he went through quite the growth spurt. Quite the growth spurt. So here's one. Let's see if we can get that one to come up. Come on, dude. Where are you? Yeah. Oh my gosh. I do not accept your cookies. There he is. That almost looks fake, doesn't it? Right? Almost looks fake. But he's even a big old cub. Of course, bears are big. Bears are big. Here's the one in the artillery unit. And here's another one where he's trying to eat the dude's arm. Maybe the dude has a beer and he's not giving it to him. Oh. Oh. Let's get out of that. Some of these sites we get these pictures from is questionable. Some of them are questionable. So there you have just a little short story of another animal that served a good purpose. And, you know, do I like zoos? I like to visit zoos. Do I feel bad for some of the animals in there? Yeah. You know, some of the animals, probably like, the bear here, would never survive in the wild. He was, raised by humans from a cub and, drank beer and smoked cigarettes and ate marmalade. He's not going to find that out in the forest anywhere. So did he live his best life? Probably so. Probably so. People come to visit him. His old buddies came by to see him. They made statues of him. And he did a good job as a soldier. So he got to retire, and I don't know, how long do brown bears live? Let's just see. Let me ask the question. What is the lifespan of a brown bear? Now, I know it's not going to be the same species or whatever, but oh, I'm sorry. Did I not type the word bear? All right. Can't you just come up with one that says 25 years or 10 years? It's all a bunch of junk. Just give me the answer. Just give me the answer. Right there, right at top. says they're mature by 5 to 7 years. So uh, he was just a grown bear when the war was over, apparently. You can get up to 5 to 8 feet. 5 to 8 feet, 700 pounds, 25 years. This is like it just says a brown bear. It doesn't say specifically which, species of brown bear. Uh, did you know they were part of the sloth family? I don't know. Yep, average lifespan in the wild is 25 years, and he lived till he's 21. Maybe he didn't live his best life. I think he did. That's the way I like to think about it. I think he lived his best life. He didn't have to, fight with other bears for food. Maybe he would have enjoyed that. Maybe he would have got killed. I don't know. Maybe he would have got killed. Because he was a gentle bear, but he was a soldier. He was a soldier. All right. So, like I said, nice short show, 30 minutes. Some of my shows drag on for an hour. Not this one. Not the one before. Trying to keep them down there a little bit. I know Roberto, he's got a short attention span. Garthog's probably asleep in his chair right now. So try to keep them shorter. See how that works. Other than the long form, what they consider long form, 45 minutes to an hour. Sometimes long form's 3 hours. Woo. But anyway, so thank you for watching. You two guys come by. I didn't even have to tell you. You just kind of showed up. That's nice. Thursday nights, Minutes with Milo. If you made it this far, like, subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends and neighbors. And I promised you last week, and I'm going to promise you the same thing this week. I got a regular video coming out. I swear I do. I've got the little action camera sitting on my table downstairs next to the laptop. I've got to plug it in there, get the video off of that, edit it. I mean, my editing skills are just pretty much I put a little music in here, maybe do the little time lapse deal so you don't get too bored with it, and then I put it up there. I like to think it more as my videos or like documentaries, raw footage, the real feeling in there. It's not because I'm lazy. It's nothing like that. I just like you to get the real feel of, what's going on in my video. So anyway, look for that. I promise one day it'll be there. One day you'll come to the page, or you have your notification bell turned on, the little icon that makes the ding, 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 ding when I put a new video out. And you'll go, what? That Yahoo's actually done it and made a video. And then you can get on there and watch it. It's not very long. Those are pretty short. And this is another one in the series of things I do in my basement for working on cars and motorcycles and such. Maybe you'll find it interesting. Maybe not. If you don't, watch it anyway. But leave me a comment and say, you know what, I didn't find that very interesting. Do something else. And I'll try something else. All right. There we go. It's Thursday night, February the 5th, 2026. Some of the things I wish, and I don't know why, maybe I'm doing it wrong, but I just think that people that make YouTube should tell what the date is. Why? What's the secret? Why just say, well, you know what, it's wintertime. Well, what year? Tell me, what month? So, that's what it is. I think the groundhog saw his shadow. Does that mean, is that right? We're going to have more winter weather? I started to do the show about people going, well, I'm so tired of this cold weather. It's winter. Live with it, right? Without winter, there's no spring or summer. Global warming. You can't have your cake and eat it too, as they say. So, get over it. I'm not crazy about the cold. I get pretty chilly, but I do like winter. I like the snow. It makes things quiet. You know, I like the snow. Now, we've had a good one. I'd like to have at least one more, not the frigid temperatures, not down into the teens or the single digits. That's not my idea of a good time. But I do like a good snow. I like it in the mid 30s, low 30s. Keep it right in there. Don't freeze my car doors shut. I'm going to break the handle off of that stupid thing, then I'm going to be mad. Just, nice. And then we can go into, slide right into spring here next month, March. March is going, it's almost here. Today's the 5th. Anyway, rambled on too much about that. Check back, look at the videos, come back next Thursday, see another live show. Where is it? I always like to try to do this. There it is. Somebody can call the number. I might answer it. Well, I didn't even turn it on tonight. Then tonight's a good night. Say, oh, I tried to call you, but you didn't answer. But it's transferred to my phone. I would have known it would ring. See, thought you'd pull one over on me. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for showing up, as always. And I pressed the button once. That means we're getting ready to press it twice. This thing's going to come to an end.